Miss Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Miss Universe podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Miss Universe podcast.
Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. In today's podcast, we have no idea what we're going to be talking about, but let's get going. We'll see. End of Mercury retrograde. Yes, we're a few days away, so by the time you're listening to it, this will already be gone. Very interesting. So that's 3 weeks with Mercury retrograde. We got a lot of the sporting events that happens, controversy, and everything else that goes in between. But it's all good. Life is interesting. Talking about accountability last week, which again, might sound irritating, but accountability makes us being more authentic to our own self. It's always based on our own self. It's not based on what the outer conditions are, but based on who we are. In order to change and course correct where we are, learning our life lessons, standing for our own self, even for the universe as well, when sometimes things don't go the way it should have been going. But understanding the overall pictures and learning to be more mindful. Mindfulness, I think, has been more prominent for the past several years, but mindfulness, it's more toward ourselves, because you cannot change your outer condition if you don't change how you react, how you become more mindful towards yourself first. Learning to respect ourselves by setting those boundaries. I recorded something very interesting on YouTube and even share some pretty horrifying things. I'm not going to even change it, I'm going to say just because I can, but just to really share some great things as what kind of tools can we have within our little toolbox on how to stay grounded and dealing with the stress. It's not fun to be under stress, but we have to understand what can we do instead of going into a fight or flight mode or overreacting, shoot first and talk after. Yeah, not gonna happen. But it's how can we really learn about ourselves and how to deal with changes. There is things that are out of control, and even though some individual tries very hard to micromanage and trying to control everything, which is extremely stressful, but understanding that, okay, things come along the way and sometimes we get triggered. So in order to really react the proper way, which is extremely helpful when that happens, it's what can we do to, I will say, quote unquote, stop the hoot nanny. I love to say the word hoot nanny. That's a passion for me to say the hoot nanny, but to be more present with our own self. So in order to help and to create a more honest set of tools that people can utilize. Yes, I say honest because sometimes we have to really dig deep in ourselves and look at what triggers us. First of all, the awareness. That's why being mindful is such critical, because when you're mindful of yourself, you will scan your body during the day. You can even ask yourself, in which mood am I today? Am I overjaded? Am I just having a blast and being positive? Or is my day is fluctuating from reading an email um, not the wrong way, quote unquote, mixing up things and not realizing after it all started by stepping back later on and say, oops, I got confused with those two emails. It's really understanding who we are and like the wind, being aware of those subtle changes before they arrive, like having a feeling of, yeah, I'm not feeling good right now. I don't know. I just don't like it. I'm not feeling totally positive and hippie skippy. Life is good. And ask ourselves. Then, when we ask ourselves and look into deep in our bodies and said, okay, I feel a little bit of tension. I'm not quite where I need to be. Then utilize those tools to really ground ourselves. One of the biggest things that even Sonia Choquette was talking, and still I believe talking in her retreats, is being like a yo-yo with our spirit, in and out of the body, in and out of the body. And you're like, no, you should not be like a yo-yo. We should be as much consistent, like a flat line, than being one who's just going up and down, up and down. It doesn't help. It makes it a little more difficult, not only for ourselves, because we're getting more tired when we do this, and being able to really ground ourselves and said, okay, I need to ground myself. So what tools do I have to do that? And that's what I released for YouTube. It's being able to get 8 simple tools. Doesn't need to be complicated. When we do things, we have a tendency sometimes to make it more complicated than it is. Having those tools and practicing every day, like meditating every day. Again, that would be Bhante Kamalu talking about that during one of his live meditation he does. It was very interesting to talk about different form of meditation. You don't have to sit down and being in complete silence. Not everybody can handle that. This takes practice. However, you can be meditating, and I love to do that. That sounds crazy. When I'm mowing the lawn, it's awesome. It's like you sit on a tractor and you do what you got to do, but in the same time, it's like I'm meditating. Or I could walk into a store and meditating around. I'm not talking shopping. I'm talking meditating around, taking my time. Maybe I'm going to go buy a couple of things, but I walk the entire store and meditating. You can be meditating like I do on trails when I'm with my dogs, or meditating when I'm playing tennis with them, or meditating and open blanks. What works? Some people, enjoy working out. I do too. You can do that when you're running, when you're walking, when you do gardening. So those are the kind of tools you can utilize every day for meditating, but getting a good practice. And it doesn't take long either to do that, because a lot of people say, well, I don't have time to do that. I don't have the time because I'm doing this, and that. Well, you know what? You need to carve the time into your busy schedule, because if you get something that you really want to do, trust me, you make time. So it should be the same way. I do work out 6 times a week for like no more than 20 minutes, because those are heat exercise than I do. So I'm not spending 2 hours, 3 hours for, oh no, that's not happening. Emma doesn't want to do that. But 15, 20 minute max a day makes a huge difference, actually. I see the result. Yep. I love to do my yoga. I'm not into the yoga right now because I'm more into build it up and bring it up to a lean, mean physics than I used to, and I am back in there, which is awesome. But it's really take the time for ourselves. It's knowing our bodies. A lot of people don't. A lot of people get triggered, and they're not gonna try to figure out why this situation triggering me. Why is this person, every time I see that person, I'm being triggered? What is the cause? What is happening? Or when things happen not in the right way, because when they happen in the right way, everybody is static, is happy. But it's when you're being challenged, when you feel that there is some resistance or things like that, that this is what we need to look at. Look at how can I change my perception. Yes, there is some individuals that have been put in our path that teach us life lessons. Some, not so much. Some are more like, okay, time for me to go. Off I go. Some don't need help. They create their own chaos. You have to learn to step back and leave it alone. Learning to take care of ourselves, our own self first, and that's one of the biggest lessons that everybody should know. The other thing is understanding that nobody can be saved because we have to save our own self. And that's something that is the hardest part, I think, for everybody to understand. Nobody's going to change, but they can stay on your coattail and you carrying them in your life until you said enough is enough. I have done that too, actually. I have cut the cords to a lot of people that are not for my highest good, and it wasn't helping because setting up your boundaries will be very helpful for you in your life, personal or professional. I don't know. People are going to say, and I remember that. And that's why I never liked that word for many, many years. You're not a good team player. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not going to do your job, so I don't care. Being a good team player, that doesn't mean you have to dump your workload on me. It doesn't work this way. So no, thanks, pass. But it goes as well the same for your personal life, because you have to learn that your mate, your children, your parents, the in-laws, cousin, uncle, bro, sis, whomever they are, you have to set boundaries. I have let people in the past rain on a parade until I set my boundaries back, and then you become the devil because, oh my God, you used to be so nice. Oh, yeah, no, you were disrespectful to me, so I had to set the boundaries. Now, then I set the boundaries, you don't like it. Well, too bad, Jack, because those boundaries are staying up, and I don't care if you said to me, you're mean to me. No, I'm not. I'm just setting the boundaries for the respect in my own space. I don't need somebody to walk all over me, isn't it? Same with the kids. Your kids are not your friends. No. And unfortunately, more and more you see that some parents, well, we're going to change the way we bring them up. You need to understand, kids, puppies, kitties, any animals too actually learn. And if you don't believe me, maybe you should look at some animal channel that will teach you what the mothers and even the dad are teaching animals. They give them the tools so when they grow older, they can take care of themselves. We need to do the same with our children. Okay, I'm not talking children who have mental and even with mental challenges. Not talking about the health issues, but I'm talking children who are capable to function in society. We, as parents, have to teach them. It's not the schools should be teaching them all of the tools. They should be teaching them how to read. They should be teaching them how to count. All of this. Now, when we come down to social and etiquette, it is our job to do it. Some individual thinks that it should be the school. It's like, no. This is your job. You and I have to give this. It's the same with our pets. If you have dogs, and I have 3 of them, you need to teach them how to behave, meaning when to go potty, listen to you for they come back, they goes, and everything like that. They don't know, and they want to learn. Even the most stubborn one, because I have one who's the most stubborn of all, and she's a very good learner. Actually, that girl is stubborn like that is not tomorrow, but she's an awesome learner. The other 2 are awesome too, but Daddy, yeah. They're all very smart dogs. However, we have to teach boundaries. Some of them, I'm reteaching some of hers, but it's the same with the kids. You have to teach them the boundaries. You're not their friends. You're their parents. You want to be their friends, then you better to wait a very long time before you become their friends, because you're here to teach them. You have to watch them falling down on the ground. You have to watch them failing maybe tests, maybe failing at other things, being rejected, but being there as their support. You're not their babysitter. You're there to teach them how to walk, for them to learn to run. I've listened to a couple of things that new generation, I think there was a kid in his 20s who got fired from a job, and the parents called for them to get the job back. And I'm like, are you serious? I would have been laughing. I say, I don't think so. No, you have to learn. And that's what we're supposed to do. Now, learning who we are, it takes years. Some people say, well, I know. Well, good if you get an insight, but your awareness should be part of your life. You shouldn't, well, you could navigate life with your eyes closed if you wanted to. That's awesome. Good for you. But we should be aware and keep the awareness, putting ourselves accountable for everything we do, and not trying to, because that became a game for the past few years, to blame everybody. My action is because I grew up poor. My action is because fill out the blank. And I'm like, no. You're accountable for your actions. Nobody else is. Life will teach you lessons. Some paths are easier than others, but your path is yours. And you're going to have to deal with your challenges, with your life lessons. And that is not the world. This is I call it here the University of Life. I've been saying it for years. This is the University of Life here, guys. This is not Club Med vacation where you can come and lounge on your transat, we would call it, on a long chair, just because. Yeah, some people do, because that's their time, because they have already accomplished everything. They came for another round, the last one, and enjoyed their lives, which is awesome. Stop looking at everybody else's, look at your life and start to transform your life. Be inspired by others. Do not envy, do not be jealous, do not do the negative things, and most people do, and feel of resentment because, oh my God, this person do this. Who gives a crap? I'm serious. When people use the word envy, it bothers me a lot because it brings jealousy and negativity. So when people say, oh, I envy, no, you don't. You don't envy anybody. You don't envy somebody who struggled to put their head off the water, and you're like, I envy you because no, you got everything you want in your life. If you're not happy, look at what you can do to improve it. But stop comparing yourself to everybody. Stop to look at what you don't have than the other person have, but you think you want it. But by the time you're going to want it, you're going to say, I don't want it. Stop that and bring the awareness, the mindfulness, learn your tools properly, and set your own goals. Don't set somebody else's goal because somebody got a bigger car than you do, and all of a sudden you want a bigger car, or you want a bigger home. At the end of the day, it is your life. So what do you want to do with it? Be accountable for it. This is what it's all about. Be accountable. Be aware of where you are and understanding how your mind and your body works together, because they do work together. Think about that. So this was our podcast for today. Not bad at all. I like where we're going this week. Last week was like, wow, but this week is like, yay, let's make it happen. So we'll talk to you later. Bye now.
Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast.
Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here?
Emma's Universe Podcast. Universe Podcast.